Do you know the struggle of getting clean lines and sharp edges for your painting projects? Then stick around, because in this video we'll unravel the secrets of masking that will elevate your airbrushing game to a whole new level. I'll be sharing some essential tips and tricks when it comes to masking, a crucial step in achieving those flawless airbrushed finishes. To kick things off, let's talk about masking tape. It's a staple in every airbrushing toolkit, but not all tapes are created equal. You can buy dedicated airbrush masking tapes like these ones in different thicknesses. Their big advantage is that they can be bent and put on your part in curves. The radius you can achieve here depends on the thickness. The wider the tape, the harder it gets. This kind of tape is perfect to use to mask off shapes that are not too tight or to create crisp lines. There are two things that I don't like about the airbrush tapes. One is you need to cut them with a scalpel or scissors. They can't easily be ripped apart. The second is that they don't stick as good as regular crepe tape, which is the next product I like to use. It also comes in various sizes and is way cheaper than your dedicated airbrush tape, since its actual use case is for wall painting. However, crepe tape can't really be bent, but you can easily rip it and cut it to a shape with scissors or a scalpel. Because crepe tape is thinner than your airbrush tape, you can get it into all those crevices really easily. With a toothpick you can really push it into the corners, and it's so thin that you can cut it right on your part. But of course you need to be careful to not cut too deep into your paint underneath. So make sure to varnish the paint beforehand to give it that extra layer of protection. With a toothpick you can carefully scratch away the cut tape. Since they come in so many sizes, they are also convenient to mask large areas. One thing you need to look out for when you use crepe tape is you should remove it from your part as soon as possible. It usually sticks really well and the adhesion increases with time. At some point it can leave glue residue on your part or even rip off the paint underneath. With either product, also make sure to use multiple thin coats of paint and not a thick runny coat, or you could risk that paint bleeds underneath the tape. Here you can also see that I like to use saran wrap around my parts to protect them from any overspray that reaches beyond the tape. One major downside of masking tape is, depending on the complexity, it can take you hours to apply it. A way faster product is masking putty. It is flexible and can conform to irregular shapes and contours, making it suitable for masking complex or curved surfaces. Unlike some tapes, masking putty typically leaves little to no residue, reducing the risk of damaging the painted surface. Just make sure to not buy a putty with glitter in it. You can use the same putty over and over again. Masking putty tends to create a more effective seal, minimizing the risk of paint bleeding under the masked areas. If you apply a lot of force rapidly, you can rip the material apart. If you do it really slowly, you get very thin strings. And you can also cut it into shape. If you leave the putty on your project for a long time, the putty can start to lose its shape. But if you apply it and then directly start airbrushing, you shouldn't have any problems. Just check from time to time whether the putty is still on its place everywhere. Because it's so soft and flexible, achieving straight lines is more challenging with masking putty compared to tape. While it is great for small to medium-sized areas, covering large surfaces might be impractical due to the amount of putty you would need. But you can also combine putty with tape and saran wrap. If you are in the US, you can get silly putty pretty cheap. Where I live, I can only get those small eggs for crazy prices. But you can also get masking putty from hobby brands like Green Stuff World or AK Interactive. The maybe cheapest putty, at least for me, is Children's Magic Dough. Just make sure to get a pretty basic one without any smell or special glowing or glitter effect. When I apply masking putty, I like to trim the edges with my gold color, and then I use masking putty on top of it. This way it doesn't matter if the putty overlaps surfaces where I actually want the color to be. And now let's talk about the product that I like least, masking liquid. Masking liquid allows for precise masking of intricate details. I, for example, use it to mask off very small details like eyes applied with a toothpick, where I have no possibility to use masking tape or putty. Like masking putty, masking liquid can conform to irregular shapes and contours. When applied properly, masking liquid creates a reliable seal, minimizing the risk of paint bleeding under the masked areas. But since it dries relatively transparent, at least the one I have, and if you don't apply it in a crazy thick layer like I have here, it's hard to tell if you applied it in a thick enough layer. It seals so good that you can use masking liquid to create chipping effects by just applying random drops on your surfaces. But it will also destroy your brushes. So only use old brushes with it, or maybe even silicone sculpting tools. Apparently you can protect your brush by dipping it into washing up liquid before and after dipping it into the masking liquid, but I haven't tried that yet. When dried, it can be peeled away, leaving a clean edge without residue. And if I would have sealed the color below the green before applying the masking liquid, I wouldn't have had any paint strips. But now comes the catch. Masking liquid can take some time to dry, although you can speed it up a bit with a hairdryer. The one that I have has a very low viscosity and tends to flow into all the low spots, and the high spots only have a very thin layer. For me, the struggle is way too big with masking liquid, so I avoid it whenever I can. Let me know in the comments if you have used masking liquid already and how you like it. Maybe I just have the wrong product here. Now, an extra masking tip is how you can use different patterns as masks to create cool effects with your airbrush. You can find all kinds of cool textures in your household that you can use as stencils, or you can buy dedicated airbrush stencils. For example, to achieve a honeycomb effect, I use an old fishnet. Or with filter fibers, you can create this cool effect. So before you throw something away, maybe think twice if you could give it a second repurposed life. Whether you prefer tape, putty or liquid, mastering these products will undoubtedly elevate your airbrushing and painting game. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And guys, please leave a comment for the algorithm. And I'll catch you in the next video.